Hey y'all, and welcome to the Truthfully Stew podcast. I'm your host, Sheena Steward. And if you're not new to this, but true to this, you know me from my blog, Love at Any Stage. I decided to transition from blogging to podcasting due to my desire to have a more genuine connection with my audience. And your girl loves to talk. We will have heartfelt, unfiltered conversations about love, life, feelings, and everything in between. So, relax, because it's time to get truthful. Hey y'all, and I am back with another episode. In the last podcast episode, I mentioned bringing on Anthony to talk to y'all about my growth as a person over these last 6 years of marriage. So I have today the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, Hutch.
Hey everybody, and thanks Sheena for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
It sounds so weird when you call me Sheena like that. Just, I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's your name.
I know, and I love my name now, but it sounds weird. So let's just not do that. All right. So for this episode, to throw it back to a previous episode, I talked about the different stages of Sheena. One of them being married Sheena. So in a previous blog post, I talked about married Sheena at year 1. So we're currently at year 6. So I just wanted to talk about my growth as a person during this marriage, but also yours and then ours together. So I've set this up where we're going to have like 3 different components. The first one, early stages. So I want to talk about just us building a house and moving in together and what that was like. To set the stage a little bit. So 2015, we got married, April of 2015. And then right after that, we both started new jobs. Then right after that, we started to build a house. Then right after that, we started to wedding plan. So even saying that, I'm like, oh, these kids are crazy, but we were not kids.
Yeah, I have no idea what we were thinking when we decided to do all that.
Yeah, I don't know, just ambitious.
Crazy.
But yeah, probably crazy is a better word, because I'm really, to be honest, I'm not an ambitious person. I wouldn't say that. Don't you say I'm an ambitious person?
I'd say you're ambitious.
I don't think I'm ambitious. I think you're ambitious. I'm not that. That just goes with like type A personalities. Y'all people scare me. I'm just not that. Anyway, so we get married, house gets built, all of those great things. And then it's like, boom, we're married. Like, what comes with that? So when we did build the house and we moved in together, that was my first time living with someone of the opposite sex. And to pile on another level, I had been living by myself for 8 years straight. 8 years. So I was comfortable being by myself. I'm an introvert, so that was also lovely. I am a junkie / messy person. So like if my room was like cluttered, anyone who has lived with me previously, you know what it is. Then I could sleep on my couch. I was like, oh, I'm not going in there. I can just sleep on the couch. So how was it like for you moving in with someone of the opposite sex? Because you also had never experienced that.
Yeah, for me, I had always had roommates. And then, in college and then graduating from college, still had roommates until the time that we moved in together. So it was definitely an adjustment, learning someone else's living habits, just kind of figuring out how to be with someone of the opposite sex in a house. And then I, just kind of just figuring it out, like making sure I put the toilet seat down. And yeah, it was definitely a learning curve for me.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, and it is still to this day, is just like, I don't understand why you chew so loudly. If you just like put the food in your mouth and you close your mouth and you chew, like I shouldn't be able to hear it on the opposite side of the like room. So
I would think that's a you thing. I've never had anyone else complain about my chewing. I do chew with my mouth closed.
No, you don't. Like, no,
Yes, I
you
do.
don't. No, you don't. Like, I live with you. Like, I know this to not be true. I also like dine with you in like public places, and you don't do it there either.
Yeah, we just have to agree to disagree on
There's
this.
not you're not telling the truth and I'm telling the truth. It's not an agree to disagree. You can't agree to disagree about like the truth. The truth is you chew with your mouth open. The truth is it annoys the living heck out of me. And sometimes I do two things. I will either turn the TV, the volume all the way up. Even if you're like in the kitchen and I'm not eating at that time, I'm in the living room, I'll still turn the volume like all the way up. Don't do that as much now because the girls are usually asleep. Or I just get my little belongings and then I just go in another room. And then I'll just text you, hey, when you get finished, I'm going to come back out so we can watch TV.
Okay.
Well, you know. So that was one of the things I had to get used to. Someone chewing very loudly, disrupting my personal space, my introverted palace, per se. You talked about the toilet seat, which I'm like moving in with someone of the opposite sex. The toilet seat, that can't be the only thing, my dude.
I mean, closet space. That was a thing. I've always had the biggest closet. And now my closet is
Micro.
Yeah, very small compared to yours.
That's sad. Sad
That was a
living.
thing. Cutting the grass, because I've always lived like in an apartment, never really rented a house. So, and
We definitely talking about early stages because you ain't cut the grass in how long?
it's been a little while, well, at least since the girls have been born.
Yeah, before the girls have been born.
So yeah, it's
3
just
years.
yeah, just like things like that, just getting used to a house, the things that come along with that, and then getting used to moving in with someone and just their quirks and
Oh yeah, I guess I got a lot of them. I'm a quirky person.
yeah, so yeah, just adjustments like TV channels and volumes and
Not volume.
yeah, like it's something odd, like the volume has to be an even or odd number for you. Or
No,
something.
see, I don't even do that anymore. It would be like it had to be like 5, like 5, 10, like you know. But I don't even do that anymore. I have been delivered from that child. I don't
Getting
even
used
do
to
that.
not being able to record anything because all the receivers would be in use.
Now that you going back in way back
I'll
in
just
the
say,
time.
well, you said the toilet seat couldn't be the only thing, so then I started going into my book of things. So
Okay, said book. You are right. Like I did have to have it on 5, the volume 5, 10, 15, something like that. But you know, I'm delivered from that. And as far as like the recordings, yeah, like I did used to record a lot of stuff, and it would be times where like, hey, we're gonna have to watch one of these recordings as it's recording because it's too much stuff recording and we can't like get out of it. But I don't know if I changed the plan on Comcast or I just dropped some of my shows. Maybe I dropped some of my shows because that hasn't happened in a while. But
I just don't record anything.
in your defense, we are talking about the early times. No, you don't record anything because you're too busy buying movies, and then the cable bill is $400, and you're like, I didn't even record.
I haven't bought a movie in forever.
Okay, well, you know, we are talking about earlier, and
Yes.
you did used to record movies all the time. You're like, what? I don't even understand. Comcast
I
is
did
trash,
used to buy
but you
movies.
did, yeah. Like,
But I
why
haven't
is our
bought
bill
one.
$450? Yeah, and with that, speaking of bills, finances. That's also a really big thing. Again, I have been living by myself for 8 years, so I had everything planned out. I'm very anal about finances, and I had everything planned out to a T. I get paid. First of all, Bank of America, I'm surprised they haven't shut down my accounts because I got way too many accounts. Like I got a lot of money and I don't. But they let me have all these different accounts, so I got like, this is for this is for that. Like I get paid, choop, 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 choop. They go into different accounts, and that was that. So then moving in together and getting married and, you know, having finances and things together, it was like a lot of, I feel like trial and error, but I do think we landed in a good spot.
Yeah, we did. The finance piece was definitely different. I had always, since college, banked with SunTrust, which is now Truist. So for the longest time, it would be me getting paid, going SunTrust, getting money out, going to Bank of America, depositing it into our joint until I just finally just closed out my SunTrust account and joined Bank of America just for simplicity. But yeah, I think that was the biggest thing, just learning how to combine finances with someone and look at how our bill structure is and how we were going to decide as a family to handle that.
That was on you because if you was doing all that, like going to the bank, going to this bank, going to that bank, first of all, I can't say the last time I have been in a bank. It's probably since I worked at a bank when I was in college. But why was you doing all that traveling? Like, bruh, like what about online banking? You can transfer from like one bank to another bank.
It wasn't that easy back then.
Yes, it was. I have accounts set up for my two nieces. The youngest one is 9, so at least 9 years ago, I think they were both born by the time I opened up accounts for them. So they had, they had Wells Fargo. They don't know more. I owed their money. But I could transfer from Bank of America to Wells Fargo
Okay.
at my home, in the comfort of my home.
I'm pretty sure if that would have been the case, I would have done it. So,
Baby, that's probably why SunTrust gone in if they wasn't letting people transfer online.
It's
That is
possible.
very bootleg.
I mean,
Anyway, so yeah, trial and error with the finances, but I think we came up with something that works. And what we do is we each give the same percentage of our income to like the household, joint accounts, things like that. And then we have our own accounts because, again, I'm very anal when it comes to money. And purchases that other people might think are normal, they can be very frivolous to me. So I don't have time to be looking at people buying Jordans and stuff and like me getting mad. That ain't my money. So I don't even see it because I don't see your money. I see our money and my money.
yeah.
So I can't get mad about those purchases. Yeah, great. It's fair for everyone. Even if we don't make the same amount, like our income is not the same, you're giving a percentage, I'm giving that same percentage, and it makes things work. All right, so another thing that we did early on into our marriage was create weeknight date night. So every Wednesday, usually Wednesday, some Thursdays, we would be tasked with a creative date night for that week, and we would each take turns on who picked the date or who created the date and setting everything up for said date. So questions for you. Do you remember when the first date was, whose date it was, and what the date was?
No, I do not.
None of them. None of the questions.
No, I do not know.
All right. So yeah, the first one was, and this is just off my memory. So somebody can go to like social media and verify this, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. It was June, don't know the exact date, but June 2016. That was the first date. You picked it. It was movies in the park, and we saw Space Jam. The second date was mine. I just went to the store, bought a whole bunch of random stuff because it was the summertime, and we had a field day in our backyard. Does any of this ring a bell for you?
Yeah, it rings a bell now once you tell me what it was. I do remember the activities. Yeah.
Do you remember getting beat in the field day?
I do.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, talk to me about like the date nights. What were some of your favorite ones, memorable ones? Were there any that you were like, I could have done without that one? And then also like the preparation of like the date nights. Because I used to feel pressure. I would be like, this week I don't have to do anything. But that next week will come up so quick and I'm like, oh boy, like what are we going to do?
Yeah, so the two that stick out to me the most, we did a cooking class that was sponsored by some Metro program, and it was held at a school, I believe. And then...
Not some Metro program.
I'm just being honest with what I remember about it. And then the second one was one that I actually came up with, and it was like a karaoke-themed date, and that was a lot of fun. As far as the preparation, there was always... Well, some had more preparation that had to take place than others, but there was a great deal of pressure. I felt like each week to make sure that you didn't duplicate something that you had done before and to try to make sure that it was, a good date. We had high standards and, trying our best to make sure that we had a good time.
So it was a Bangladesh cooking class. And then the other one that you're referring to, it was cooking at home. It was yours. That's one of my favorite ones. It was Top Shelf Karaoke. Mm-hmm. And you gave me a card, like a 1 or a 2. And I had to pick like the 1 or the 2. Can't remember which one I picked. But thankfully, God was looking out for you, girl, because I picked the one where I was able to cook on the stove. And then the other one was you had to use the grill. And I never used the grill a day in my life. So we did like 2 different versions of turkey meatballs. I remember mine looked trash because I put too much water in it because I can't follow directions. Oh, Lord, I just can't cook. So mine looked horrible. Your presentation was better, but we agreed that mine tasted better.
From what I recall about it, I provided the instructions, like on how to cook it, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I think I did remember that part about it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's no secret. I can't cook. I can't even follow directions. Like, how many times have I almost burned down this house cooking egg whites? It's a travesty, and that's just not my ministry. But what is my ministry is being creative. And then the second part of the Top Shelf karaoke was actually the karaoke part. And we actually went to our room. Like, I remember it was like a mad, like we were like running through the room, like trying to find clothes to fit our characters for the songs that we did. So we each did 2 songs. Do you remember the songs that you did?
I imagine they were probably ratchet. I don't know the exact songs though.
I'm not gonna say they was ratchet. They weren't ratchet. It was I think it was Elevators. It was something. It might not have been Elevators, but it was something Outkast. And you were definitely Andre 3000, like with your clothes that you had on. And then the other one was, I think I Need a Girl, but not sure. It was something with the Diddy Puff. It wasn't the Love era. It was probably more so like the Diddy era. Those are your 2 songs. My song, first one was Gin and Juice. And then my second one was Proud Mary. And I do remember that we recorded said songs, performances, and then we sent them to some friends with a Survey Monkey, and you received 1 vote. And we sent them to not like all my friends, but it was like I think it was 3-3. And I'm pretty sure the vote was like 5-1. But your best friend voted for you. I feel like he
always has my back. I mean, he was like the only unbiased person in the entire group.
Do you know the definition of that word?
Unbiased?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it means not to be biased. Everybody else was biased towards you. So
even your other friends that.
Yeah, they gave you the win. They were clearly biased towards you because my performance was better.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the weeknight date nights were really fun, and we did that from June of 2016 to June of 2017. We still had date nights, like creative date nights, just after that, but we were definitely really laser focused on having those date nights for that year. So we had 52 date nights. Definitely Top Shelf karaoke was one of my favorites. I do remember, I'm a very competitive person. One that was really simple. I what did I do? Printed off I Spy, like a toddler I Spy or something at work one day. And then I gave you a sheet, me a sheet, and we went to Centennial Park at night. And we had to check off, take pictures and check off the things that we did. I remember saying this one dude, I was like, hey, will you do this on my list? And it was always crazy trying to explain to people when we were actually in the dates, what we were doing. But I remember it's hey, it's a dude. He got a yellow shirt on. He gonna come ask you the same thing. Don't do it. And then it started raining too. I remember that.
I do remember it started raining.
Yeah, we had fun. I love those dates. It was just a way for us to connect, be competitive like we both are. I mean, something as simple as Monopoly one night, pumpkin carving. I'm gonna have to go back and revisit some of those. So I thought that was really fun. And it was a great way to kind of top off our first year of marriage.
Yeah, it was memorable, and it was definitely fun.
So if we're talking about marriage over the span of 6 years, year 3 and 4, what about not professional, what about personal growth? What do you think that year 3 and 4 would be the middle of where we are now? Where were you then? What were you learning about yourself during that time?
So personally, in year 3 and 4, that would have been the time frame that I started going to therapy. And for me, that was a lot of growth there. My wife had identified, some things that I could do to grow.
Is your wife on the podcast?
Well, you told me not to say Sheena.
You can say you. We're right beside each other. You can say you.
Okay, so you had identified some things. He said, don't use your name. I was trying to be respectful of that. So, yeah, the things were identified for, some personal growth. So I decided to find a therapist. And that whole process was very unique in the things that I was looking for. And I was able to find someone. I started going to therapy, and there was a lot of good conversations and a lot of growth from that standpoint. And I know a lot of times in the Black community, and maybe for males specifically, sometimes it's frowned upon. But for me, like, I didn't care. To this day, I'll tell anybody that I went to therapy.
To this day.
Yeah, would suggest it to anyone. I think it's helped me a lot, and I'm looking forward to starting up again. Had a pause with the pandemic and everything, but I'm looking forward to getting started with that again. So yeah, year 3 and 4 was a lot of personal growth and discovery in that realm.
Yeah, you know they out here doing like virtual therapy visits and stuff. Now, just putting that out there because you really can't be using the pandemic as an excuse anymore, because I had therapy today and it was virtual. So I'm just going to lay that back out there, just let you know. But, you know, it was great that you started going. Proud of you for that. You said you learned a lot, had a lot of personal growth, which is what we were talking about. I'm not going to push you to share because everyone doesn't like to share as much as me. But I do appreciate you sharing what you did share with us. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So for me, years 3 and 4, so I will say with the date nights, I started to post them on social media. And then people were asking me, like, if I didn't post them, what did y'all do this week? Or is there somewhere I can find all of them together? And I didn't have anywhere. So that's why I started the blog. And, oh man, I stopped posting about the date nights because it was too much. I didn't like it. It was, first of all, shout out to my photographer, our photographer, Malia. She is amazing. The pictures were so great. And then clearly people look at pictures, but not necessarily reading the words. It was like, oh my God, this day was great. Like, y'all look perfect. Like, nobody is trying to portray that. Well, I'm not. So that's why I stopped doing like the weeknight date nights. I couldn't post about them anymore because it was just a bit much for me with the like, oh, this is so great. So I started True Tuesdays, and that was so therapeutic. I think it's one of those things for me. You think about like your life and it's like moments or like times where like, oh, this really changed me. Hands down, True Tuesday really changed me. Clearly, it got me to Truthfully Stew with the podcast and just being like a really open person, a really vulnerable person, because I had therapy. But True Tuesday was something that like just turned it up a notch and just made me like one of like a truth teller. Just, it was something that was always there, but it just pushed me a little bit further to like share my stories. Do you remember the first True Tuesday and your reaction to the first True Tuesday?
I do not.
Ooh. First True Tuesday was before HutchStew, we were just ordinary people. Cause I was riding to work one day. So I did go into work 2 days a week pre-pandemic, but riding to work, listening to ordinary people. And I was like, this relationship is trash. And then I was like, oh, this relationship used to be us. And got to work, didn't do my work. And I just started writing and I let you read it the next day. And you were not happy with it. You was like, nah, man, I don't really think we need to put that out there. Like, why people got to know our business? And I'm like, but we be putting these dates out there. That's our business too. You can't just like give people the flowers and not like the real stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. But you woke up the next day and was like, I thought about it. You're right. Let's do this. And then I just got really enamored with True Tuesday. So I would say that like my personal growth in like those years were really, True Tuesday was the catalyst for it. Just writing my truths. And the more I wrote, like the better the writing got. And the more truthful I got about just different situations. And I do feel it helped me grow as a person and then also as a wife.
I would agree.
Awesome. And again, it led us here. So you did do a couple of little True Tuesday posts though. So I appreciate that. And now you're on a podcast. Look at you trying to be supportive.
I'll try to do what I can do.
So the last part, if we're doing a 3-parter, we would not be able to talk about like 6 years of marriage without talking about the most important part of our life. And that is the 1 and the 2, the Harper and the Zilly girl. So as I talked about in a previous podcast, before we got married, I wanted kids. And then shortly after we got married, I was like, nah, this is just not going to be for me. And then we had conversations, and I'm not sure when it flipped, like the switch flipped back over for me, but I was like, okay, I want to do this. Let's do this. So like late 2018, we were like, all right, we're going to try in early 2019. And try we did, and succeed we did.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it like for you when I went to my first appointment and you had just started a new job? I had the same doctor for forever. So I was like, they're just going to check me out, tell me everything good. Like, no need to, like, take a day off and you just started and, like, have people in my business. You don't have to go. So what was it like when you got that text with those 3 letters, the O, the M, and the G?
I was hoping that everything was all right. And I knew that, in my mind, I knew that if something was wrong, you would have immediately called me or it wouldn't have just been an OMG. So I assumed it was good news, and I was just hoping for the best at that point.
So once I like met with they did the like ultrasound sonogram, whatever, and then they set me in the waiting room, then I was able to call you then, and I told you like the great news. What do you remember what you felt like at that moment?
Yeah, so the company that I was working for, they had these like phone booth rooms you could go into, which was just like a phone and like a little mini room. So I went there so we could talk. And then when you told me the news, the first initial reaction was shock. But then after that, it was just like pure excitement. So, we had always discussed having 2 children, but, you would give birth to 1 child and then we'd always adopt. So like having 2 children was not outside of anything that we hadn't discussed or planned. But yeah, I definitely, we never really, at least on my end, I never really thought about twins, but I was definitely excited.
Yeah, I never thought about that either. Despite, again, go back and listen to the podcast. You was black. No, you was old. You was black. You was destined. And I'll tell you all about the, like, why I should have been prepared for twins. But just really quickly, so y'all had a phone booth and you went in. So was it like, did you go in as like Clark Kent and then come out as Superman? Like you like, oh yeah, I got twins, bruh. Did you feel like Superman when you walked out?
No, I definitely didn't feel like Superman. I was definitely happy. But yeah, the Man of Steel, no, I didn't feel like Superman. I knew there was going to be a lot of preparation and things that needed to happen for that. But yeah, excitement was the emotion.
And I'm like really, like, sometimes I just wonder, like, who did I marry? Because you just missed that whole thing when I said Clark Kent. Isn't that your line name?
Yeah, it is my line name.
Child, folks don't even want to give you credit for, like, just being, I'm just so witty and you just missing my punchlines and things. But, anyway, my reaction was probably a little bit more different than yours. I don't know. I think it was just, like, definitely shock and, like, what the heck? We have prepared. We talked about when this was going to happen. We did everything to make sure that it didn't happen before we wanted to. And we were blessed to say, this is when it's going to happen. And then it did happen at that time. But the 2 just really threw me off because I'm like, I have to carry these humans. Like, what the heck? And we did discuss me being pregnant 1 time. Like, that's it. That was all I was going to do. Like, I was like, I can't. I'm going to do 1 time and then we're going to adopt. Boom, bam, bing, 2 kids. And I guess God was like, yeah, we're going to give you, I'm going to give you 2 kids, but they just going to both come together. And that was like, that was a lot to like think about. Like, I got to carry these people, 2 of them. I mean, clearly I got like, I don't even know the emotions that I felt. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I can't even remember. It was just maybe shock was like the biggest thing, like shock and what the heck.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, because you prepare for things, and I'm not like a person who is like organized nor prepared for things. That's just not my thing. So like the preparation that we did do, I felt like, oh man, this isn't went clean down the drain. It's like throw everything out the window because everything that we have, it don't apply anymore.
No, it definitely did not apply anymore.
Even when they're like in my appointments, well, like we normally do this, but it's twins, so we're gonna have to give you this test. And I'm like, you can't even like try to like connect with other people who are pregnant at the same time as you because you're like, yeah, like I got an ultrasound today, and like I know, like no, we don't get ultrasounds every time we go. I'm like, they don't give you ultrasound. You don't get to see your baby every time. I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. How many times? I think it's like 3, 4. I don't know. Please, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, but I really got one every month. And then at last, like at week 30, when they were like, yeah, we're starting at week 30. We're going to see you 2 times a week. 2 times a week? Whew, it was a lot. Anyway, but I do think that we did a good job in preparing to get pregnant. But I think we did a pretty good job about, after we found out we were having twins, preparing to enter the world of twindom. What do you think?
I think we prepared as best as you can. I mean, we pivoted.
Ooh, child, a hard pivot.
Yeah, so
elbows up, defense.
I don't know if there's any way you can say that you're properly prepared all the way around for having a single kid in the first place, or 2, or however many. But I think we did the best that we could as far as being prepared for when they arrive.
The term is singleton. Like, I legit never heard that word until I got pregnant with twins, and it was like, yeah, you're not having a singleton. I'm like, people say singleton? That's a word that's really used. Yeah, so even like going to the birthing classes and all that stuff, they were like, yeah, you can stay behind and I'm like, can you just make a class for twins or multiples or something? Because a lot of that stuff, they would be like, this doesn't apply to you. I'm like, why are we here? That's what I felt like a lot of it was, like reading things or seeing things, and then just having to, like you said, pivot or make it work for us. Because there aren't a lot of things out there for like twins, probably more than what I know there to be. The things that are, like, I would say, like easily accessible are not for twins, and definitely not for Black twins. But I think we did a good job in preparing ourselves for that. So they get here, they arrive, everything was great, they were healthy. They tricked us about how they acted in the womb versus how they act now. It's total flip-flop.
Yeah, they set us up.
Total flip-flop. Deal is chill deal for the most part. She likes to eat. She likes to sleep. She likes to smile. Harper, she's been here before. She's been here before. That's all I can say about Harp. She's definitely a born leader. When people say like folks are born leaders, I'm seeing it. She is a born leader, which lets me know that I was not a born leader. But like in becoming parents, do you remember like the first night that the first day that we brought them home, and then like our first night at home with them?
I just remember it being difficult as far as in the transition of how we used to live and them crying and things. But as far as the first night in general, I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Yeah, the first night was it was a bit much. And I will take responsibility for it being a bit much, because we had 2 bassinets, and what we would do is one bassinet stayed on my side of the bed, other bassinet stayed on Anthony's side of the bed, and we would switch out babies each night. Well, that's eventually what we got to. So one was like always the one that cries, like not that you always had to cry. So like, hey, Tuesday night I had Harper, then Wednesday night Anthony had Harper. That's what we did. But the first night, I came up with the genius idea that we take those 2 bassinets and the 4 of us sleep in the living room. I'm just going to say it was hormones, because that made no sense. Like, in what world would that make sense for us to sleep in the living room? Like, why did I say that?
Yeah, I don't know. Looking back, probably wasn't the best idea.
And then Harper kept making these noises, which now, 3 years in, we know that that's just Harper. But she kept making these noises, and I was like, oh my God, she gonna stop breathing in the middle of the night. So then we tried to set up like a humidifier, like in the middle of the night, like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It didn't go well. Like, it was like water everywhere on the hardwood floors. It wasn't a good look, but everything stemmed from me saying, aha, I got it. The 4 of us sleep in the living room. Like, that's it. That's it. That's what we should do. So it was just a bad night, a learning night. I guess just from then on, it was just like, all right, here's the learning curve. Like, jump on and have fun.
Yeah, just kind of figure it out as you go.
Yeah, but we got there. We quickly started to figure out different routines that work for us. Like, everything was very scheduled, which I think even to this day, like it is, people laugh like, it's like 7:31. Yep. 7:30, that door closes and they are in the bed. If they go to sleep, good for them. If they don't, I mean, that's your bedtime, figure it out. But
if we didn't have a schedule, I don't think it would work. I mean, when you're dealing with two little humans and you're trying to make sure everything happens, like you almost have to have things scheduled out.
Oh, no, you do. We wouldn't have survived if we didn't have like a schedule. Again, going back to me not being an organized person, I'm still not an organized person by nature, but having them, it forced me to like sit down and think about things and like, okay, I think that this works best and this should be this time and this should be this. Yeah, and it changed as often as they change, which in the first couple of years of their life, that means it changed a lot because babies are always changing. And speaking of them being babies and changes, they were born late September 2019. So March of 2020, everyone knows what happened. Like the world just, the world just ended, I guess, as we know it, or as we knew it. And COVID happened and everyone was at home. So they were like right about to turn, like, I think a week or so away from turning 6 months. So we had them at home with us, working from home for 18 months, from like 6 months to 2 years. And that's with, I would say, both of us having pretty demanding jobs. That was an experience that I could probably write a book on. What about you?
Yeah, I would say so.
What are your feelings, thoughts about that whole like 18 months? Like, I think sometimes, how in the heck do we do it? I remember people would be like, so like, why don't you put them in daycare now? Like, COVID's not going anywhere. You can put them in daycare. Like, why they're not in daycare? I can't answer that question for you. I don't know why we didn't. I don't know why.
I get asked a lot how we made it through that particular period, having twins at home and then working.
My grandma was talking to God. That's what it was.
And to be honest with you, I don't know. That time period was extremely difficult for me. But the one bright spot, I think we will both agree, is that we got to spend a lot of time with the girl.
Every waking minute, yeah. 18 months.
Yeah, but other than that was the one bright spot. Other than that time was very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. There are many adjectives to describe that time. And probably you ask me on today, and then you might ask me another day. I might come up with a couple of different adjectives. But I think it's always going to be like a meaningful time, like a precious time. Like, we got to spend like literally every waking minute with them from 6 months to 2 years. And a lot happens in a kid's life in that time frame. They go from not being able to do anything. I think they were like rolling over at the time, to clearly by 2, they can like run, jump, and everything else, and talk. Lord help us, Harper. But it was just a lot of moving parts, a lot of us trying to figure things out. And even when we got married, we're married, but I still think we are like very individual people. Like, we do things together, but we're always big about carving off our individual time and like making sure that we are individuals. I'm Sheena, you're Anthony, and we are married. Like, yes, we are HUTCHSTEW, but I'm still Sheena, you're still Anthony. So with having them and them being at home with us, it was like, okay, this is like the ultimate teamwork. You think you know teamwork before? You think, what was Diary? You think you know, but you have no idea.
Yeah, no idea.
That's what it was. It was like an episode of Diary. Just trying to figure it out. We had to download like a couple of apps to like put in our work schedules in the app. And it's like, we had to find one that finally worked for us. Like, this one is color coded. It like works. And it's like, oh no, we both have a meeting at 1:00 on Thursday. That can't happen. Or like, you take one kid, I take one kid. Mm-hmm. And depending on like what age they were, it's like, oh yeah, this is their nap time. They're going to be sleep during this time. Or I don't know, like, oh, they just started walking, and they both started walking at 10 months. Like, oh, they just started walking. Like, that's not, they're
even
climbing on things.
Even to the point that, this particular kid may talk more than this one. And
Harper.
In this meeting, they wouldn't care as much, things like that. So
yeah, it was, that part of it, that aspect of it was like very difficult. And I think that each of us had different views on like how to maneuver through it. I have always been a creative person. So the corporate world is like, I have jobs, like work them. I think I do fairly well at them. But I'm always like one step away from like, I wish a motherfucker would at work. Like that's just always been me. And I think people, I like going into it, I'm a black woman. And like if I talk, then it's like, she doing too much. Or if I don't say anything, she's standoffish. So you just gonna get what you get with me. And again, I'm like always one step away of like, I wish a motherfucker would. So like the pandemic and then having them at home, I was really like a half a step from I wish a motherfucker would. So I'm like, nope, got my kids at home. This is a crazy time. Don't ask me to do extra. Or I think your perception of it was a bit different. Like people are losing their jobs. I'm trying to keep my job. They want me to do this. I'm going to do that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's accurate. I mean, there's bills to be paid. We need a roof over our head. And yeah, my thought process was I need to make sure I have a job. So yeah.
Yeah, mine was, I wish some of her would. I'm not, I don't care. Like any excuse for me to be like, I hate to inform you, this is it for you, girl. But we made it through that. I do think that like maybe we should even dedicate a whole podcast episode on that. That was a lot. Just even going back and thinking about like just some of the stages. Again, anybody who has kids, 6 months to 2 years, that's a lifetime in kid years. And we did that all like by ourselves and working from home with them. And for the most part, especially in those early months, the world was shut down. So it's not like we could even take them out and do things with them. Mm-hmm. We were like, oh, I would like ride them around like during the day. Like this is their nap time. I'm just going to ride them in the car during their nap time because it gets me out the house and then they're asleep anyway. Yeah, for me, I take them on walks in their stroller. And yeah, that was my outside time. Yeah, you remember that time it snowed and like next time we like move, make sure that the sun faces our side of the street, something that we didn't think about. And so like the other side of the street is like the Bahamas, like the sun shining, they coming in and out their driveway. And over here it's like Antarctica and we couldn't leave for like a week. I thought I was going to go nuts because I couldn't get out and have my drive. Oh, Lord. I remember you went to the store, like, did you get, like, salt that you use, like, on food? Or, like, was it, like, legit salt for, like, the actual snow? Yeah, you talking about the little lady on the front and with the umbrella? Morton's? Yeah. Did you use that? Yeah, I was trying to use any kind of salt. At that point, I was just trying to get us out of here because I was tired of hearing about it. Like that shovel. Yeah. That shovel was so little. That shovel was probably, like, too little for the girls right now at 3. I was over it. I was like, Lord, just let me get her out this house. Like, I was trying. Hey, that was like, I needed that for my mental health to like get out of the house. And then I was just like in the bonus room looking outside across the street like, look at them folks. Look at them folks. They really kicking it. Oh, I see they went to the Target. They coming back with like the little bullseye on their bag. And I'm still like, we can't even get out the house. Mm-hmm. But we eventually did get out the house. But that was just like one of the things that like we experienced in that 18 months. And I'm pretty sure both of us have a ton of stories. Again, people will always be like, so how are you doing this? And I would always be like, my grandma, she ain't having, she out there talking to God. And, that's how we making it through. Because any other explanation is just not going to make sense to me. So that's the only explanation that I could give as to how we made it through that. What about you? Yeah, somebody was looking out for us. Yeah, I'm definitely say my grandma was up there talking to God. But do you have anything else to add before we close this out? And this is the last episode for season 1. Well, I just want to say thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to coming on for a while now, and I'll definitely look forward to coming back. Yeah, I'll have you back in season 2. Maybe we're definitely going to, at some point, talk about the whole pandemic of it all. But maybe we can do like a fun, like upbeat episode. We'll think about it. What you think? Yeah, sounds good. All right. Well, thank you again to my special guest, the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, no, daddy, I want mommy to do it. That's what we hear all the time at our house. Thanks for coming on, Hutch. All right. Till next time. All right. Peace out. Thank you for listening and sharing this space with me. If you connected with anything I said, please be sure to comment, review, and tell a friend. And remember, stay truthful.
Bye-bye. Peace out. Bye-bye.